Hey guys, I am doing picture to picture because I'm hoping this is going to be a quick and dirty video. I had my neck worked on for the first time in ages today, and I came home and I wiped out for 5 hours, and I am still feeling what I call mushy. I just feel sort of like, oh, I don't want to do anything. Brain. But I have missed a lot of videos for various reasons lately, and I don't want to do that. And I've been mulling over this idea, the idea of yes and how it affects interpersonal communications. For people who don't know, yes and is an improv term. Instead of going no but in an improvisational scene, something I did a lot of when I was a youngin', you say yes and, because if you just keep saying no in an improvisational comedy situation, your whole kind of dialogue, your whole scene just goes crashing to a halt with people being dicks about, I want to do this and I want to do this, and it's boring for the audience and it's not funny and you don't get anywhere. So instead of that, the exercise is whatever another person in the scene with you says, it's yes and. And wow, was this a tricky thing to navigate when I was in high school. Because people like to troll yes and exercises, and that was when the teacher would jump in with very clear no. And yes and doesn't mean you never say no, this approach when you're talking to people. It's that you say no in a clear and concise way and try to find a way to get to yes. And I was reminded of how useful this was when I was talking to this person actually identifies as a men's rights activist, but we were talking, and I'm assuming it's a he, linked me to one of his articles he wrote, and it was about consent levels and what he thought about the whole issue. And there was obviously some stuff that was challenging. I won't say I disagreed with it. It was challenging. That's a different thing for me. But there were certain elements about, because his argument, to be reductive about it, was the current legal threshold for consent is too murky, but affirmative consent is fraught with peril. There's got to be a middle ground. And that overall thesis is something I can overall agree with. I don't have the same interpretation of affirmative consent he does, but that doesn't really matter. There is a point where we can start a conversation. I am not so invested in my personal definition of something that I can't say yes and to somebody that comes to it with a different point of view. And so, because I'm me and meticulously check things because I'm terrified of an accidental plagiarism accusation, I went online and looked up, and I found this book, Yes and, which is basically business lessons from Second City, and apparently Tina Fey's Bossy Pants also contains this little kernel of knowledge. So I'm not the only one that thinks this. I don't know why this makes an argument stronger instead of it just being, oh, it's really not that original, but there you go. It's not just me saying it. Yes, and here are the books. And I wanted to point this out just so people don't think I'm stealing the idea. But there's there's the basic of the premise, is you can have really good discussions with someone if you find a way to say yes and you can. I think there are some people who are really, really worried about wholeheartedly agreeing with somebody because of being held to that in some way. That's where this yes but thinking comes in. And yes but is, according to this one person who, I know it's the Huffington Post, I know, just stay with me here, okay? Some stuff on the, yes, it's the Huffington Post, and sometimes in the Huffington Post, it's a blog post, it is not the staff, it's a person's opinion that I happen to agree with. And in this case, it's talking about the idea of yes and a lot of people think that yes but is the same thing, and it's quite the opposite. You know, you see the basics of it. Improvisation is an art form where 5 to 6 actors arrive on stage without a script, props, or costumes. They have to create a show in the moment without knowing where they're going. It works because of yes and. No matter what an actor says on stage, I'm a goldfish, she knows that only will her troupe immediately accept and support the idea. Yes, you're a goldfish, but they will also add to it. And I'm the aquarium keeper. By constantly accepting whatever is contributed on stage, yes, and adding to it, and an improv troupe can build an entire one-act play out of thin air. And this is where I start hearing your little wheels turning, going, no, but, no. You know where the butt is on your back end. Hold that butt, okay? Hold the butt. Hold your butts. Okay, ready? Yes, there are times where you disagree. And yes, but is not the way to go about it. Because as this article outlines, yes, but is a moment of elation. Yay, agreement. And then, but it'll never work. And as this writer, Karen Huff, points it, you feel not only denied, but also patronized. It's not yes, but. Yes, but means no, right? And they say performance review time. We've all been here. I used to hate this, but it's, we love the work you did here. You were so thorough, the client loved you, but, and as they point out, it doesn't really matter what comes next. All you feel is what came first was two-faced. Your manager was trying to make the bad news easier on you and trying to find a more comfortable way to get to what she actually wanted to talk about. And I agree with this person that is one of the worst ways to communicate. Because not only do people think you're negative, but you're also duplicitous in a way. You're trying to sugarcoat what is not actually a positive opinion by, but I said yes, but you didn't. So, and as this author says, when you start watching for yes, but, you start becoming very aware. And sometimes yeah, but to say, yeah, but I'm not sure is one thing. If you actively disagree, just say no. Just say you disagree and find a way to get to yes and. And that's the kind of stuff that should be worked out, in advance if you have to. The problem is too many people jump to no, or even worse, yes, but, too quickly. They don't attempt to find a yes and. And let me tell you, some of the most interesting conversations I have had lately have come about because I said yes and. Because people feel more comfortable talking to you. They're less on their guard. It's a place where you can develop ideas because you're not just shutting someone down from the get-go with a but or a no. And this may seem strange. This may seem like you're going to end up agreeing to a bunch of stuff you don't actually agree with. But that's not actually the way it works. The way it works is the way, I think it was Dennett said he approaches debates. That, first of all, explain the person you're debating, their point of view so clearly they wish they'd put it that way. Secondly, find some sort of point of commonality, even if especially if it's not the main point. Thirdly, say what you learned from what the person had just said, and do these 3 things before you offer a single word of criticism. Because what that creates is a paradigm where you're showing that you're actually criticizing constructively. You're not just being a troll, because you'll notice what I did on Twitter yesterday. I brought up, and I got some really interesting got some really interesting responses to me saying I have trouble not believing the trolls kind of sort of believe the horrible crap they say. And one guy who's a troll, like, and it's funny because this is a troll I haven't blocked because he actually is a troll. He's just saying things for shits and giggles, not really to hurt anyone, and he doesn't actually believe it. So he sort of is what it is. I appreciate that he's honest about what he is, and we're cool. It's the people that I feel are passing off their really grotesque attitudes as trolling that scare the crap out of me because yikes, you know. And then I'm just trolling when they get called out. But there's, you know, that's the exact opposite. That is just trying to be a jerk about something. And we know you don't get anything done that way. And some people say the internet is not a way to get things done. I disagree. The number of people who say, oh, the internet is just for shit posting, blah, blah, blah. You give them a little bit of a area, like a backyard. I hate saying safe space. I think of it as more of an online backyard. You don't quite let somebody into your online house, right? But you hang out with them in your backyard. And you can be cool and get muddy and dirty and you don't track it in the house. When you give someone your online backyard, then they feel more free to talk to you in an authentic way. And that's what yes and does, and yet yes but does not do. Because everybody's ready for the yes but. Everybody's ready for the disagreement. It's the internet. When you give someone agreement and allow them to express their views, because, you know, more than one very smart business person has told me people love giving advice. So if you say yes and, you know, yes, I agree with you on this point, and I think this is the beginning of building some common ground, in my case, between, you know, feminists and MRA positions. Because I do believe there is some common ground to be had there. Just well, I'll save that because it's gonna be in Lady Bits. A lot of the things that MRAs claim are special privileges for women are actually benevolently sexist attitudes that may seem cool in the short term, but actually don't benefit us long term. It actually holds women back because, yeah, we get to cut to the front of lines that don't really mean very much, but because people see, and there I yes butted, see, I wasn't really agreeing, when it actually comes down to being somebody who's a leader, being someone who is heard, being someone who is taken seriously and seen as legitimate, there are no shortcuts. So if you want a, you know, nice, calm, unchallenging, no bumps in the road experience online, you can have that, but people aren't going to take you very seriously. In order to actually get people to listen to you, you have to start saying, no, I can't believe that one set of standards or one set of behaviors is okay for one group and not okay when somebody else does it. It's either okay or it's not okay, no shortcuts. And that's a no instead of a yes, but. You know, something either is, yes, something is internet harassment and we have to do something about it, or no, it's not internet harassment. And so there are ways of saying yes and still pointing out where you disagree with something. Basically, yes, and I think that this is a really good start. I have some issues about this person here, or this situation here, but we can more than easily talk about that. You see how the but came conditionalizing the negative part, not the positive part? And what that does is it keeps the conversation moving forward. And people know and or switches. Think of it as an and but switch. So an and or switch, an and switch just branches, an or switch actually one or the other. an and but switch, and you go forward together, but you throw the whole conversation back into reverse. That's why it's a but, because you're looking behind you. And I know people liked the but days, but I might bring those back somehow. Sneak it in. I don't know. My butt's got some more miles on it. But I'll yes and my butt instead of yes but my butt. Did that make any sense? I told you. I am logy as crap right now. So hopefully that made sense. Hopefully you can apply it. Just try it. Just trying to say yes and instead of leaping to disagree. And see how it goes. And really say yes and. Not yes but. Yes but is the evil part of yes. Because it actually goes backwards. It's actually a no while you're saying yes. And so people think you're a jerk. As opposed to, people are going to think you're more of a jerk if you say yes but than if you say no. Because no, people understand, right? Yes but just sounds Weasley. So yes and then you can follow up with, I'm not feeling this part, but this part I'm great with. And the reason that works is because somebody is being accepted and approved of, at least partially. Nobody with reasonable expectations expects to have their idea 100% accepted whole cloth. It's okay, this is the part that's good. I can work on this, but I know this is the part that's good. And I know this from working with editors. Yes, but editors drive me crazy. Hey, are you interested in this idea? Yeah, but don't make it like that last article you did. Or yeah, but don't put all this crap in it. It's like, okay, you've just told me what not to do, but not what to do. Yes, and restrict your comments to this part of it. Not like, don't go into the weeds on this stuff. It's much more effective. And you see how I just said basically the exact same thing, but yes and was way more productive than yes but? Try it. Try it. Try it. Or kiss my butt. Nah, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. All right, I'm stopping now before I get into any more trouble. Where's the stop button? Stop button.